I like to give all glory and praise and honor unto the Most High. And, today what we're going to be talking about is not yielding, you know, to the will of unrighteous men. I mean, not letting them force their decrees on you or force their will on you, you know? Not yielding to the will of unrighteous men, man. And right now we're going to read this quote right here. It says right here, "Let not the sun ever see such a thing, that I should show my back to the enemy. And although this be the time that will bring me to my end, and I must die in this battle, I would rather stand to it courageously and bear whatsoever comes upon me, than now running away, bring reproach upon my former great actions, or tarnish their glory." Yeah. The last the words of Judas Maccabeus, man. You mean, to his men while outnumbered at the battle of Elasa. You know what I mean? Judas Maccabeus, man. Probably one of the greatest generals ever, man. You know what I mean? A man of courage, a man of valor. You know? He didn't yield, to the will of those unrighteous men. You know what I mean? You know? And we're gonna segue into the Messiah real quick. I'm gonna start here at Luke chapter 23, verse 8. "And when Herod saw Yeshua, he was exceeding glad, for he was desirous to see him of a long season, because he had heard many things of him. And he hoped to have seen some miracle done by him. And he questioned him with many words, but he answered him nothing. And the chief priests and the scribes stood and vehemently accused him." See right here, not the Messiah didn't bow down, and yield to the decrees of unrighteous men. You know what I mean? He questioned him with many words. And you gotta remember who this is, man. You gotta remember who he's standing in front of, man. And this was Herod, man. This was like the equivalent of like the president of the United States. This was the equivalent like the highest Supreme Court judge or something like that. It says that the Messiah answered him nothing when he questioned him. You know what I mean? He answered him nothing. Not bowing down to the decrees of unrighteous men. You know what I mean? Showing valor, courage. Because the Lord said that they're gonna beat you up, man. They're gonna afflict your flesh, man. And that's what they did to him. But he never yielded, to the decrees of unrighteous men. And that's how it's supposed to be, man. So, and I'm bringing that up because, you got this term, the handler this and handler that. You can't handle nobody if you unrighteous, man. That's not the way it works. You know what I mean? That's not the way it's supposed to go down. I mean, if you wicked, you ain't supposed to be handling nobody that's righteous. I mean, it's supposed to be the other way around. And and that's what we wait. That's what we wait on the Most High to do, man. I mean, reverse that order, and that's gonna put things in order. And it speaks to that in Psalms. Let's look at that real quick. Psalms 94:15. "But judgment shall return unto righteousness, and all the upright in heart shall follow it." I mean, judgment shall return unto righteousness, man. So it ain't gonna be no wicked handlers. You know what I mean? Watching us 24/7, man. I mean, the people, is gonna be the people that's doing the right thing with that power. You know what I mean? In the future to come. You know what I mean? And right now we're gonna go through it, but we're not gonna yield to the decrees of unrighteous men that's doing all manner of wickedness. Because it was other men that set that example for us. They're gonna afflict your flesh. What he said is, it's better to get in the kingdom maimed and battered and beaten up. than to be tossed into the lake of fire, you know what I mean, with all your limbs. You know what I mean? You know, the scripture says that, man. You know, Judas Maccabeus, I mean, he went out on the sword, man. You know? That's how it's supposed to be. You know, because he said he didn't, you know what I mean? If he yielded to those men, it would have tarnished his glory, it would have tarnished his reputation, man. Everything he did, you know, would have meant nothing. I mean, if the Messiah yielded to I mean Satan, if he yielded to people, somebody like Herod, if Judas Maccabeus turned around and ran away from those men, you know what I mean, even as great as they are, man, you know what I mean, you know, I think in the eyes of their men, or in the eyes of his men, I don't think they would have judged them. You know what I mean? Even the Messiah, you know what I mean? I don't think his men would have judged him either, but they held themselves to that high of a standard. Like, look, I'm going to go out on my sword, man. You know what I mean? But rather than tarnish my former actions, my glory. You know what I mean? Let's take a look at King Saul, man. You know, and how he went out. So right here, this is talking about Saul. And I believe that Samuel already prophesied to him, like, look, man, the Most High's pissed off with you. You're gonna die. You know what I mean? You know, the kingdom is gonna be given over to David. You know, so this was the Josephus describing the you know what I mean, or giving an account of the final acts of Saul. You know what I mean? And you know, we know Saul was a king that went off. You know, during his reign. You know, he started off good, and then, you know what I mean, he went off. You know what I mean? You know, throughout his time. But let's take a look at his former actions. I mean his last actions right here. It says I'm gonna start at 344. Where it says 344 right here. It says, and I have a fair occasions offered to me, and I have a fair occasion offered me to enter on such a discourse by Saul, the king of the Hebrews. For although he knew what was coming upon him, and that he was to die immediately by the prediction of the prophet, he did not resolve to fly from death, nor so far to indulge in the love of life as to betray his own people to the enemy, or to bring a disgrace on his royal dignity, but exposing himself as well as all his family in turn to dangers. He thought it a brave thing to fall together with them, as he was fighting for his subjects, and that it was better his sons should die thus, showing their courage, than to leave them to their uncertain conduct afterwards, while instead of succession and posterity they gain commendation and a lasting name, man. You know what I mean? So let's keep going. But Saul, the king of Israel, and his sons fought courageously and with the utmost alacrity, as knowing that their entire glory lay nothing else but dying honorably, and exposing themselves to the utmost danger from the enemy, for they had nothing else to hope for. So they brought upon themselves the whole power of the enemy till they were encompassed around and slain, but not before they killed many of the Philistines. Now the sons of Saul were Jonathan and Adinadab. And I'm gonna butcher that. I'm gonna just skip that. And they were all slain. It's Matusi. Messed that up. But yo, you see the actions of Saul and his sons, man. You see how they went out. Like I said, even though Saul had problems in the beginning, you know, he didn't yield. He didn't yield down to these guys at the end, man. You know what I mean? And his memorial is blessed for that, man. So you see, Saul knew what was to come, man. You know, and like he had problems. You know what I mean, throughout his reign. But he showed how courageous he was at the end, man. You know, and his memorial is blessed for that, man. You know what I mean? I know it. You know, because the Lord is a man of war too, man. You know, he likes a good fight. You know, he doesn't like when people just gives up. You know. Yeah. You know. Courageous, man. You know, and you know, and it was like, and I know I brought this out before, but like, you know, just the way that they died, man. Like these men, like, they were demigods, man. You know what I mean? These Israelites men were demigods. You know. Let's take a look at that real quick, man. Because we're gonna go into that. We're gonna segue into that right real quick, and then we're gonna come back to the topic. Right here, it's the definition of a demigod: a being with partial or lesser divine status, such as a minor deity, the offspring of a god, and a mortal raised to a divine rank. That's what these men were, man. And I know a lot of people, they don't like to use the word like God, like, you know what I mean? We're not gods, but, like, you know what I mean? A demigod is a lesser form. You know what I mean? And I don't really like using the term God when it comes to us, you know what I mean? Because we're not that, but, like, it's the only vocabulary that's out there, man. That I could that explains it, man. I mean, the Israelites, man, they were demigods, man. You know what I mean? Let's take a, when you look at how shocked David was when Saul died, man. Let's take a look at that real quick. 2 Samuel 1. You know what I mean? And this is David speaking right here. You know what I mean? Because he was so shocked when Saul and Jonathan died, man. You know what I mean? Couldn't believe it. It says, from the blood of the slain, from the fat of the mighty, the bow of Jonathan turned not back, and the sword of Saul returned not empty. That means they went out, and when they went out the war, they killed, man. He said the sword of Saul returned not empty, man. I mean, his hand clave to the sword, man. You know? Saul and Jonathan were lovely and pleasant in their lives, and in their death they were divided up. They were swifter than eagles. They were stronger than lions. That's demigod stuff, man. You know what I mean? Let's jump down to verse 25. Let's skip verse 24. How are the mighty fallen in the midst of battle, O Jonathan? Thou wast slain in thy high places. How are the mighty fallen in the midst of battle? You know what I mean? How are the mighty fallen in the midst of battle? I am distressed for thee, my brother Jonathan, very pleasant. Thou hast been unto me. Thy love to me was wonderful, passing the love of women. Jonathan and David, they was real cool, man. You know what I mean? How are the mighty fallen and the weapons of war perished, man? That's what they were, man. You know what I mean? Saul and Jonathan. Weapons of war. That's what David called them. Weapons of war. They were demigods, man. You know? What you think that these guys get all these movies from, man? You know what I mean? These superhero movies, man. It's from the Israelites, man. 300 and all that. These men were demigods, man. I mean, man, I'm telling you. Right here. Psalms 82:6. I have said, ye are gods, all ye children of the Most High, but ye shall die like men, and fall like one of the princes. You know what I mean? So, this God right here, people, I see this all the time. You say ye are gods. It's a lowercase g. This God is not like the Most High. This God is like a judge, like a judge. You know what I mean? Ye are gods, like a judge. You know what I mean? So, like somebody that's, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? That's dishing out, you know what I mean, righteous judgment. You know what I mean? You know, in a court or something like that. You know, that's what it means, man. Not like really you're a god. You know, it says, but you shall die like men. You know what I mean? They were like demigods, man. You know what I mean? Let's keep going. Right here, Psalms 82:1. God standeth in the congregation of the mighty, he judgeth among the gods. Right here, you see Psalms 82. It's in the beginning you have a uppercase G, and then you have a lowercase g. It's showing distinction. You know what I mean? He judgeth among the gods. The Most High standeth in the congregation of the mighty, he judgeth among the gods. Lowercase g. You know, the Most High was using these men, you know, and dishing out righteous judgment through them. You know what I mean? He was giving them, they were using his power. You know what I mean? So that's when we say we're going to get spiritual power. You mean to slaughter you devils, man? We're going to get it, man. You know what I mean? He's standing in the congregation of the mighty. His spirit is it was dwelling around mighty men, mighty women, man. He judges among the gods. They were dishing out righteous judgment, slaying the enemy, killing the enemy. With his power. These guys, they were judges, man. You know what I mean? Why you think Moses? Look, hold up, let me bring that up. Right here, Exodus 34:29. And it came to pass when Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tables of testimony in his hands, when he came down from the mount, that Moses wist not that the skin of his face shone while he talked with him. And when Aaron and all the children of Israel saw Moses, behold, the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come near him. When Moses came off the mountain with the Most High, his face was shining, man. You know, his eyes were shining bright. You know what I mean? He was a demigod, man. You know, and like I said, these guys knew where their power was coming. Like the people weren't sitting out here and worshiping them, like, you know what I mean? They knew where their power was coming from. They knew the Most High. You know what I mean? It's just like with what you would call it? I believe it was John in the Book of Revelations, man. When after the angel was speaking to him, he got down on his knees and tried to worship the angel. I mean, bow down to the angel. Or he was told him, like, look, man, don't bow down to me. Get up. You know what I mean? They know where their power source is coming from, man. But you know, these men on the earth were demigods, man. You know what I mean? David was killed a bear with his bare hands when he was a baby, man. With his bare hands. You know, and he was still young. They were demigods, man. Come on, man. You know, and I kind of got off topic, man, but we're gonna segue into Nick Cannon real quick. You know what I mean, we're gonna segue into Nick Cannon. You know what I mean, and you know, and that's kind of like what I wanted to talk about originally, but you know, I kind of swayed, and you know, and he yielded. You know, I mean, Nick Cannon, he came out and he said, and we were the Hebrews, this, that, and the third, and you know, but then he recanted his statement, and you know, I didn't like that, man. You know what I mean? You know, it's a lot of people that say, oh yeah, we still supporting this and the third, but the Most High can't use men like that. You know what I mean? And let's take a look at LIR. LIR was he was tight, man. Let's take a look at this.
I told you, we in the hour and the time where the Most High gonna kill the cowards. Revelations 21 and 8. He putting this word in my mouth for you, Nick Cannon. You yellow belly. You scum of the earth. That's what you are. You scum of the earth. You sold your soul and your home. And now, when Ish come, you kiss his ass. You gonna be put to death, Negro.
Yeah, man. You know what I mean? I was a little harsh on him, but you know what I mean? The Most High can't use men like that, man. I mean, oh yeah, he came out and he said, yeah, with the Hebrews, and you know, it probably was people that woke up from that, you know, to an extent, you know. But then, I mean, what is he gonna do now? Say we're not the Hebrews no more? He said he apologized. He's gonna donate to the Jewish center and this, that, and the third. The Lord can't use him like that no more. That's why the Most High's not dealing with the rich like that, you know, because they can't be used. They too focused on the cares of this world. And you know what I mean. Let's take a look at this verse real quick. Right here, Mark 4:16 through 19. And these are they likewise which are sown on stony ground, who then they have heard the word, immediately they receive it with gladness. They heard the word, they receive it with gladness. What does that mean? Oh yeah, we Hebrews, we the Hebrews. Oh man, we happy. Let's go tell everybody now. Yeah. You want to tell everybody, right? You know what I mean? You want to tell everybody, right? But the Most High gonna test you when you open your mouth to see if you're really a warrior. You know what I mean? Let's keep going. And it says, and they have no root. What does that mean? That means they're not studying the word. They're not picking up this word every day. They're not studying it. They're not going out seeking to the Most High. They're not praying. You know what I mean? They're not breaking down those scriptures. You know what I mean? But they know they Hebrews now, and they happy. You know what I mean? You know, it says right here, and so endure for a short time. You know what I mean? Afterward, when affliction or persecution arises for the word's sake, immediately they are offended. So when persecution come, I mean, these guys not gonna last, man. They faint in the day of adversity, bro, because they have no root, man. You mean they're always trendy now to say, nah, but when you open your mouth, you mean the Most High gonna test you, man. You mean and see if you're gonna continue in this. And that's why I think, you know what I mean, people was really pissed off at him, man. And he was telling the truth too. He was telling the truth, but you see how he buckled and he folded. The Lord can't really use men like that. You know what I mean, for the long haul. The Most High's trying to he's looking for warriors, man. You know what I mean? That's not gonna yield to the decrees of unrighteous men. You know what I mean? Right here. And these are they which are sown among thorns, such as hear the word, sown among thorns. You know what I mean? Hey, that's bad company. You know what I mean? And the cares of this world. You see right there? And the deceitfulness of the riches and the lust of others, things enter in and choke the word, and it becometh unfruitful. So the cares of this world. I mean, entertainers, they want to continue to keep, you know what I mean, securing the bag, you know what I mean, being in the spotlight. All that's going to come to a halt when you come to serve the Most High. The Most High said when you come to serve him, yo, prepare your soul for persecution, man. Prepare your soul for tribulation, man. You know what I mean? You ain't supposed to be yielding to the decrees of unrighteous men. They're not supposed to be forcing their will on you, man. You know, because the Messiah resisted that. You know what I mean? Stand up in the face of Herod. You know what I mean? He was a gangster, man. And not answer him when he's speaking to you. You mean the highest man back then. Not say a word to him. I mean, Judas Maccabeus, man. Clave to the sword. You mean, going out on the sword out there. Saul. Fighting, man. Come on, man. Not yielding to unrighteous men, man. You know what I mean? Because when you're righteous, you have nothing to fear. You know what I mean? You supposed to put all your chips, move all your chips onto the Most High, man. You know what I mean? Like you in the like you playing craps or whatever in Vegas, yo. Put all your chips onto the Most High. You know what I mean? But these guys, they still putting their chips on man. You know what I mean? Cursed be he that put his trust in man. You know? And a lot of men gonna be put to death, man. You know what I mean? Because one minute you proclaiming you this and you that, and then when tribulation come, I mean, and the Most High ready to test you, you don't got nothing to say now. I mean, the scripture says in Revelation, people gonna be beheaded for this, man. Oh, people already been suffering persecution for this. People in back in Rome in the Colosseum, they got beheaded and burnt, and lions ate them up and all that. You think the Lord looking at Nick Cannon and he's happy with him? There's people that died in Colosseums for this word, man. But you recanted your statement in front of the chief house of Amalek, man. Ah, man. But yeah, man, judgment's gonna return onto righteousness, man. You know what I mean? You know? Don't yield to the decrees of unrighteous men, man. Because the Lord is a man of war, man. He likes a good fight, man. You know what I mean? You know? He likes long suffering, man, long endurance, seeing who's really for him, man. He's only picking the cream of the crop. I mean, people think he's coming back for everybody, nah, that's not how it's going down. You know what I mean? They hear the word and they receive it with gladness, but they have no root, man. But they endure for a short time. They ain't talking about this no more. So what we not? What Nick Cannon gonna say? We in the Hebrews no more? Lord ain't dealing with that, man. You embarrassed the nation, man. You tarnish your glory. All that woke stuff that you was talking about before, it's all tarnished now. And that's what Judas Maccabeus was talking about in the beginning. I'd rather die than tarnish my former glory. You know what I mean? And give it to the enemy, man. They yielded not to the decrees of unrighteous men. So all praises to the Most High, man. You know what I mean? Hopefully this was edifying, man.